Good morning, my name is Martin Rusika, and my presentation will talk about the change from gas cars to electric vehicles in the US market during the 21st century. So the three main perspectives that I will cover in this presentation are the affordability, eco-friendly, and financial benefits. So electrical vehicles are becoming more price competitive with gas cars, electrical vehicles are better for the environment, and the purchases of electrical vehicles are being incentivized by the government. The research question is, should the US focus on gas cars or should it continue to grow towards a more electric-based approach? First point being, electrical vehicles are becoming more affordable to most people. This graph here shows that back in 2015, when electric cars started to pick up, the battery price for an electrical vehicle accounted for over half of its price. Fast forward to present day in 2023, that price has gone down to about 25% and is projected to continue to decline. According to BNEF, a leading provider of research on the trends leading to a lower carbon economy, not only are batteries projected to continue to decline in price, but also by 2030, the cost for inverters and power electronics, which are pieces of an electrical vehicle, could be 25 to 30% down, cheaper than today. So as the trends show, components, prices of electrical vehicles continue to go down, which will make these electrical vehicles a more realistic option for most people and increase competition with gas-powered cars. So this video here contextualizes the topic touched on in the previous slide in regards to EVs gaining traction in the US and truly becoming a viable option not only for people but for large corporations as well. So as more companies invest into electrical vehicles, this equals less of an impact on the environment. Not to mention Tesla in December of 2022 starting deliveries of its semi-trucks, increasing the presence of electrical vehicles in the market, driving out the smoke-emitting trucks of the past. It should not be overlooked that these new Volvo trucks that the video talked about have a good charge life of 10 hours and cover a range of 250 miles, which can transport a driver through different states if needed. So there's little need to stop often and recharge and just waste electrical resources as well. The second point being that electrical vehicles are more eco-friendly, especially in the long term. So first of all, it must be addressed that although lithium mining, which makes the batteries needed for these cars and the production of electric cars, requires some type of pollution as a byproduct, electrical vehicles have virtually zero tailpipe emissions, so they are more eco-friendly than the alternative, which is gas cars and gasoline-based transportation, which, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, account for 27% of the carbon dioxide expelled into the air by humans, making it the biggest contributor. The US is the second largest producer of carbon dioxide at 14% of the world's output, as said by Climate Trade, a news source on the changing climate. If electrical vehicles continue to go up in popularity, the benefits of such a vast country like the US making the switch could be extremely positive. So you see that your average gas car gives you about 19 miles per gallon, and you're spending about $2,367 per year on the fuel cost. The fuel economy and greenhouse gas rating is a 5, and the smog rating is a 6, which doesn't compare to electrical vehicles, as you can see on this next slide here. Your average electrical vehicle gives you about 118 miles per gallon equivalent, which basically MPGe tells you how many miles there are in an electrical vehicle, which is basically the gasoline equivalent. So the heightened efficiency of these electrical vehicles leads to less strain on resources such as the electric grid. So in comparison here, we can see that on average, not only are the environmental benefits better in EVs, but also the financial benefits as well, as your annual fuel cost is about 1/4 of your average gas car. And this leads me around to my third and last point, which talks about the financial benefits. So here in this chart, we can see that the IRS states that if you buy a $30,000 electrical vehicle, you can save up to $7,500 on it. So electrical vehicles have incentives and economical benefits to them, which helps counter the slightly higher price at the moment when compared to their gas-powered counterparts. The IRS states that you may qualify for a credit up to $7,500 if you buy a new qualified plug-in EV. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 changed the rules for this credit for vehicles purchased from 2023 to 2032, which basically means that this reduction is guaranteed for the next 9 years. So who actually qualifies? Married couples that are making under $300,000 a year, heads of households making under $225,000 a year, and all other filers making under $150,000 a year. So what filing as a head of household means is that you're unmarried and have at least one qualifying dependent, such as a minor. So to qualify, you must buy it for your own use, it can't be for resale, and you have to primarily use it in the US. This cost benefit would apply to most Americans, as the average combined household income in the United States is $70,784, according to the most recent US Census. And ZipRecruiter, a job finder company, reports that annual couple salaries currently range between $34,000 at the bottom 25th percentile, with top earners in the 90th percentile making $140,000 annually. So right here, this would apply to most people. A change in the industry like the one electric vehicles have brought has not commonly occurred. This means that there is great potential for electric vehicles to change the way this nation mobilizes itself. As General Marcus Aurelius once said, observe always that everything is a result of change, and get used to thinking that there is nothing nature loves so well as to change existing forms and make new ones like them. Electric cars have recently been making headlines in the last 10 to 15 years. So in the present day, the US is well on route to allow for these new type of electric vehicles to continue to compete with and eventually replace gas-powered cars as the dominant way of travel. The reasons for this are many, some of which are being the economical viability they have, the less harm to the environment they present, and the monetary relief they give people. And here is my bibliography. Thank you.
All right, I got 2 questions for you. First one, how did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process?
It changed because at first it was very broad, it was very general, and then as time went on, as I did more research, through my peers, I found that also they said that it had to be a little more specific, so I narrowed it down.
Okay, and what additional questions came up as you were doing your research?
Could you repeat that?
Sure. What additional questions emerged from your research as you were going through the process?
Well, originally it was just going to compare electric vehicles and gas-powered cars, but then some things that started to emerge to me was that it's a much more complex issue, as like I said, you have to take into account, for example, lithium mining, which is a drawback to EVs, but then I also countered it by saying that they have zero tailpipe emission.